What's up, Joe?
Hey, how are you? How are you? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How is Central Florida north of the Tampa Bay area this morning?
Yeah, it's good. It's fine here. Are you referring to the storm? Is that what
Well,
you're,
it's just sort of, but really just how you doing, man. That's just where you're at. I'm in Minnesota. You're in the central northern
yeah.
Tampa
Okay.
Bay area.
Yeah, it's good. It's good here. Yeah, everything's fine here. Yeah, it's been a few days, or yesterday mostly, yeah, some things happened that are. It's fine. It's going to be fine. My car it was giving me troubles and is still giving me troubles, so it's
Uh-oh.
kind of on my mind.
Is it time? Is it going to be the time?
Yeah, see, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's
Okay.
just I was driving out to Palm Harbor, which is about an hour away from where I live. And for the last 20 minutes, my car starts shutting down. So it's like the dial, like the radio turns off the dial. So it's a battery problem.
Yeah.
And so I managed to get it to the office in Palm Harbor. Uh, I leave the car on because I have another job where I teach a religion class on Wednesday nights, and I definitely want to be able to get there. So I go, if I turn this car off, I don't know if it's going to restart.
Right.
So I leave it on. I say hi to the employees and everything at that office, and then I pull out and I go down the street, and then it just completely dies. So I have to get a jump. I got to get a jump from a colleague, and then I turn it around and I kind of glide. It dies again, and I glide it into the office parking lot.
All right.
So then I go to. It's a whole story. I don't know.
Well, I was gonna. Everybody. Cars are like the one thing when you say you got something going on, like everybody chimes in. Oh, I bet it's this. Oh, I got my guy here. Oh, who do you use? So
I have a guy. He doesn't really. It is not a.
see.
He's like a friend of mine.
Yeah.
So I have to text him this morning. But so here's what happened. I go to Napa Auto Parts and I go, I need a battery. They test the battery. He goes, oh yeah, it's either dead or it's really bad. And I just go, let me just get a battery. And he goes, well, I don't have this particular kind. So then I have to go over to this other auto parts store. And I get there and they go, oh, is it under warranty? And I go, I don't know. And then I realize, wait a second, maybe it is. And I bought it at this place and it is under warranty and it was free. So,
wow. Okay.
Like it was under warranty by like 5 days or whatever.
So,
it was about to run out. So that was like a good thing. It was great. It was awesome. Go back, replace the battery, and I teach my class. I think everything is good. I drive back home. The battery dies again, and so it's an alternator.
Yeah, you got an alternator problem. Yeah, man, there it is.
So I manage. But it just I'm about 2 miles from my house, and I'm at a light and it's a busy intersection and it just completely shuts down.
Oh, you're that guy at the intersection dead?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
that's the worst.
And so there's a guy who helps me who stops, really great guy. I didn't even get his name because I was so like flustered.
Right.
And we push it into the 7-Eleven on the corner. And that's where it's sitting right now. So
oh wow, okay, all right.
I have to take care of that this morning. I don't really know how I'm going to take care of it either. I think I don't even know. I've read that if you jump it with jumper cables, and you leave the cables on, it'll charge it. It takes a few hours, but it'll charge it enough to drive it somewhere.
Yeah, you could do like we always call it. Yeah, I come from a long line of really crappy cars, just so you know, Joe. Like
yes. Yes, everybody in my house has a better car than I do.
Well, the man of the house comes last. That's how life goes, man. So, well, what's your like typical? Everybody's got their car thing. Like, do you just drive yours till like oblivion? Do you get a new
Yeah.
every 3-4 years? What do you do?
No, I drive it. I don't really care about, having a great car or anything. And so I just drive it until it's done. This is a 16-year-old car.
Okay.
This is the oldest car that I ever had.
Yeah.
Uh, so I mean, it doesn't have a lot of miles on it. This is like 130,000. That's all
Oh,
it has.
slap a new alternator in it, get going, pal.
That's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I'm hoping I'm going to do because,
you got to do that.
I don't have a payment. I don't, and it's so,
you and I come from the same school, man. If I get 10 more years out of my Tacoma and then Charlie learns how to, well, in 10 years, Charlie will be off to college. He'll know how to drive by then. But yeah, like both Kelly and I are like, all right, we just got to get 4 more years out of both of our vehicles. Then Charlie can have one of them and we'll get one new vehicle in like the next 4 years. And then hopefully that's it for like 10 years.
Yeah. 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 I'm just so thankful. Like I had so many ups and downs yesterday. Like I was work lately isn't that great. And I've been stressed and everything, but I was like really happy driving over to Palm Harbor. I was thinking like, oh, I'm so lucky. Like, oh, there's so many people that are like suffering right now in this area. And even when I was driving to the auto parts store, I was like, this really sucks. And then I see we pass by people who have all their stuff out in their lawn because they need to get rid of it because it's flooded.
Yeah.
Like, man, what am I worried about? Like, why am I so upset? So many ups and downs.
Right. Yeah.
And actually, yeah, go ahead.
I think that's the way to describe this past week. I should say if we weren't directly negatively affected, that's how I would describe this past week. There are people that were very directly affected that were not up and down. They were just down.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ups and downs are a little bit crazy. And in fact, the inspiration for today's show, did you like the title, man? I don't know if everybody knows. Like I use I'll get this little nugget of an idea. Then I got this little AI manager that cranks out some descriptions for me. Today, the title was fully me. That was all. I was like, man, it just wasn't, it was putting out some really like SEO, search word, keyword driven title. I was like, that's crap. We need a good hook, man. I was like,
this is,
I really like and it. High water, not hell or high water, hell and high water.
It's funny because then I taught this class last night, and the class was about Buddhism. So and we start to talk, and the first noble truth of Buddhism is to live is to suffer.
Oh,
to live is to suffer.
It just comes with it. It's going to happen.
Yeah. And we had this whole discussion in class. Actually, it was a fantastic class last night. It was awesome. We had a great discussion, and we discussed like how that is a prominent thing in a lot of religions, that the common human experience is suffering in some way, because there is this feeling of we know where we are, but we know that we can be better than we are. So there's this discontent. There's this low level discontent that we experience all the time. Now, that's not necessarily suffering, but it's a form of suffering. We don't feel as good as we can all the time.
But that's what drives.
I just thought it was interesting. Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
And maybe we're getting ahead of the. I get lost. I don't even know what some expressions mean. But what was I going to say? The cart before the horse. Like, of course you don't put the cart before the horse. Yeah, right. That's why it's an expression. But no, I thought about that a lot, and this is going to sound like really judgmental and anti elitism and blah blah blah. They were very nice people, but I worked at some properties where there were just ungodly amounts of money, and there was like. It sounds really weird to say. Some of the people like forgot what it was like to suffer, to yearn, or to want something. And the level of boredom that I saw, like you're going to suffer either way. Even if you have everything, then you suffer from boredom because you don't know what to do with your life, because you got a helicopter or a jet that could take you to, Singapore or wherever. And basically they had everything at their fingertips. And so there was like nothing to like work towards or anticipate or look forward to, and like part of me is like, man, I could get by just fine that way. I could not look forward to anything on a beach in Hawaii while fishing for a long time. But I swear I saw it, man.
It is. It's odd to think. It's odd to think that there is suffering in that way. The second noble truth of Buddhism.
No, I don't. Tell me, Joe. What's that?
Is the root of all suffering is desire. The root of all suffering is desire. And then the third noble truth is to eliminate suffering, you need to eliminate desire.
But I like desire, so I'll take a little suffering for desire. That's cool. I think
it's like eliminating all the things that you want for. It's going. If you eliminate that desire, that's really where suffering ends, and that's actually nirvana. Nirvana means blown out, to blow out. You blow out your desire. It's like desire is like this fire that you're blowing out, and the translation of nirvana is to blow out your desire. That's enlightenment.
I'm far from there, man. I am unenlightened. I've got a ways to go. It's a life journey, though, as I understand it.
So that's my one thing for the week. Actually.
Yeah. All right.
I was going to tell you about that, and in the context of this whole thing of many people around here, that I know, being flooded and having a lot of pain this past week for sure. Yeah. And then your own the micro suffering that you experience, even though it feels so big at the time. I mean, I was just happy it wasn't raining when I was trying to like jump this car in the middle of the road,
the intersection. Yeah.
It just feels so like daunting, and like, how am I going to do this? How is this going to happen? What am I going to do? I hope everything's going to be okay with leaving my car at the 7-Eleven. And this angel comes along, and you get his name. He didn't speak English, and we tried to talk to each other. I think he was Portuguese, or Brazilian or something. He spoke Portuguese. Yeah, and he just knew. He just came along. He knew what to do to help me to move this thing, and it's like these little moments of luck or blessing or something in the midst of something that feels so daunting,
right?
And recognizing those things and feeling better about your life, even though it kind of sucks right now.
Yeah, but then, like you say, you get the contrast of seeing the news, and then you're like, okay,
I can handle this.
Yeah, my 16-year-old largely dependable car needs a little tweak. I guess we'll be okay. Like, I'm gonna be all right.
Fine.
Yeah, yes. So I'm really fascinated. It's a hard right turn to my one thing. I'm really fascinated by I guess people in general, but this idea that sometimes and oftentimes you have to separate like the person from the thing that they do. So I think, I have no idea because I've never met the man, but one of my favorite musicians is Keith Richards, and I respect him for a whole lot of things. I suspect sitting across and talking to him and hanging out, I probably would dislike the man very much. He's got a
why?
I think
there's a whole conversations. I don't even. Do you think he actually holds conversations?
Well, that would probably be the first reason I didn't like him, because he wouldn't speak to me, I think. But no. So, like, I just don't. I mean, I don't think he's a bad person, but
right, yeah,
there's a ton of amazing things he did, and then he was a horrid addict. He just kind of has a reputation for not treating some people very well in certain ways, and And I don't know, maybe I would be let down. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just telling myself that so I don't really care to meet him anymore. Like maybe that's like the reverse psychology on myself, you know? But you know, the saying, don't meet your heroes because they'll let you down, or separating the art from the artist. A lot of those things I think about because I like a thing that somebody did. And then, especially in this day and age, you could find out anything about anybody and you're like, oh, there's a reason not to like them or whatever. Well, one of the biggest examples of that, and I wouldn't say the biggest influence in my life, but I there's a lot of things that I've thought about with this guy that influenced me over the years. But this week, Pete Rose died, and yeah. And I'm not a huge sports guy, but I like the analogies of sports and leadership. So and teamwork and being part of a team. So I do actually study some sports figures and scenarios, and what a complicated ball of, sticky, what, I don't know. Again, I lose track of these things, but Pete Rose, to talk about the player versus the play, on the field, this guy was gold, man. Like baseball was exciting when he was playing. Baseball is the most boring game I could possibly imagine. You imagine sitting there for 3 hours? Anyway, you know where I would go with that. But man, Pete Rose,
I'm getting back into baseball.
Oh, geez, you're never going to get that time in your life back, man. I'm joking. So, I mean, to watch the guy play, the fervor that he played with,
Charlie Hustle, man.
Yeah, Charlie Hustle. I mean, that was a gangster name before like gangster names were a thing, like Charlie Hustle. And I mean, when he had the most hits ever in all of baseball, and he hasn't played in almost 40 years, and his record still stands. Like it's crazy. 17 All-Star games at 5 different positions, Rookie of the Year, MVPs, most hits all time, and I think he's in the most games all time as well, if I recollect correctly. That part I might not have right. He would run full speed to first base when he got walked. It's in the name, walk. And he would. I just made that up. It was pretty good. He would run full speed. Other pitchers detested him. If he hit a home run, he would run the bases at full. Like he was always. It was a process. You didn't go to first base if you weren't going with all you got, and that's all that there was to it. A famous All-Star game, or infamous All-Star game, he needed to win, and the catcher was blocking the plate, and he bowled the catcher over. In the etiquette of All-Star games, you don't go out there and get the other guy injured or yourself. Yeah. It's just a fun like picnic pickup game. He's going to run you over. So I love like poetry in motion of a baseball player, man. It was great. And then you hear of his behavior, betting against the game, thinking he was above the rules, lying about it for years. I've heard, I didn't see it in the most recent reporting, I've heard that he sold the bat that he hit the all-time record of hits with 3 times. He didn't get the bat back 3 times. 3 people out there think that they have that bat. Do any of them have it? And those sorts of things. And then of course death is super finite. So I have this whole other like his play clearly depicts he should be in the Hall of Fame. As a person, it's pretty clear he probably shouldn't be. And where does that start and all of that? And it's actually and I don't want to get into it because we could spend it for the rest of the hour. It's one of the great debates, like this day and age of, I was talking to a buddy yesterday from Philly, matter of fact, who said, man, the internet killed great like barroom debates. You can just look up things now and be like, no, it's just the facts right here next to each other. It's done. But one of the great debates ever is the ethics, morality and how far does a ban in baseball go? And now it continues in death. Okay, we've punished this guy through his life. Is there a place where he should be enshrined? Sounds like the wrong word, but memorialized, because you can't have the history of baseball without him. Can you have a Hall of Fame without him? I don't know. So anyway, but I always loved the idea of, and probably my team members hated me for it, but I loved the idea of, if you're going to first base, it doesn't matter what the scenario is. You go with all you got. Doesn't matter who's sitting at that table. You greet them within 30 seconds because you're grateful that they are here. And literally anybody that walks in their doors is only trying, in our doors, is literally trying to give us money. How would we not be grateful that they walk in here? You better treat them that way. And like, so that gets me, that sort of gets me into the process driven stuff. And then go ahead.
Do you think you live in that way?
Yeah. And it's too much sometimes, but yeah, I do.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, it is.
It is. I mean, first of all, yes, you do. From what I know of you, yes, you do. And I would be exhausted, but see, you have found things that you are passionate about though, too. Like if you were constantly hustling for things that you don't want to do, then it would be exhausting, I think.
Well, but that is what happened in my career. And sorry, let's put the Pete Rose thing to bed.
Yeah.
If I got the detail, there was a bat, maybe it was a different bat. There was some bat that he sold 3 times, just shady, underhanded stuff.
It's so funny how Pete Rose is such a, I don't know, a button to push.
Oh, yeah.
People, like it's really.
Well, I think there was some sports radio guys that were like, yeah, a little dirty secret. If there's ever dead air, just start talking about Pete Rose. The lines will light up. The callers come in. It really activates.
Because he was so beloved. Like I remember being a kid and just loving that guy, just loving him because of his hustle, because he worked hard. And you see, like, of course, he's memorialized right now, and you see pictures of him, and you go, like, as a kid at that moment in time, I go, that was like an archetype of what a man should be when I was coming up. When I was like 4 years old or 3 years old, I was like, that's what a man is.
Well, and he'd fight you and all of that good stuff, and get in your face. But the other thing I liked too, like selfishly, like, I don't know if you guys know or not, I'm probably never gonna win any bodybuilding competitions,
I don't think either of us will. But
I don't think Pete Rose was either. Like that was like attainable. Right. Like you could just be a hustling, dude.
Yes,
who's and it does all come back to WWF. He is in the celebrity. There's no physical building of the Hall of Fame, but yes, he's been inducted into the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame. Anyhow, really complicated. I suspect he had probably sorrowful moments for, probably the past 40 years or 30 anyhow. So complicated situation, but
hey, let me just put, I want to just ask this of the chat before we move on. I do like this idea of, I want to meet this person or I want to meet this person, which you started to talk about. I would love to hear from the people who are listening. Who would you want to meet currently? Not people who who have passed away, but people that you would want to meet. If you want to throw that in the chat, I would love to see it. But go ahead, Adam.
So I had to pick up because you touched on something where you said if you went at that pace and it was something you weren't passionate about, that would be exhausting. That was the last probably 2 years in my restaurant operations career. My passion was waning. My exhaustion was through the roof. Now that was in the context of COVID, but I would still go at that pace. People around me were like, hey, we're exhausted and done. And I'm like, the standard is the standard. To this day, managers joke with me that have worked with me over the years. They're like, man, you and your checklist, if it wasn't done. And I was like, but you could run a great restaurant. That's
how you get things done.
That's how you get it done. And so, and all of this does circle back to kind of where we're at the moment, or where I'm at. I heard to keep the sports thing going, which apparently people do well, and it ignites the chat and all of that. I heard so Nick Saban was this iconic coach at I'm trying to deliver here, Joe, and you're like chuckling away.
I'm sorry. The answers to my question, we've got 2 Elon Musks and a Jake the Snake
and one
Roberts.
Jake the Snake Roberts.
And that just the vastness of that it's just awesome. I love that. I love it. It's great.
Okay, I'm going to get to the point. Nick Saban, iconic coach, loved, hated, reviled, always respected. I don't know, 19 championships at Alabama. Somebody will know the answer better than I will. He was on game day this week, and he said something of when he was a coach. They brought up a highlight of a game at Michigan State. He was a head coach at Michigan State for a long time, or not a long time ago. And he said out loud, I remember that game because I didn't think we could beat Ohio State, and I didn't know what to do as a leader when I felt in my heart we couldn't actually win.
Okay.
And he said that game changed my coaching career. And everybody on the panel shut up. They said, oh, here comes like some gold from this legend, right?
Yeah.
And he said that game changed my coaching career because I didn't think we could win. And I went to a sports psychologist, and the sports psychologist said, don't ever plan on winning or losing. It does not matter. Plan on every little thing, every little moment, and the rest of it will take care of it. He said, don't worry about the overwhelming feeling of can you win against this amazing, and Ohio State was number one or whatever. They're this massive team. And he said, from that point on, I never once worried about the outcome. I worried about how we did things and how we went about our business. And I went about the process. Because if the process is right, the rest will take care of itself. If you focus only on the big thing, it's so overwhelming. You can't get there in one step and you don't know where to start. But if you start on the process and only go on the process, and the standard is the standard, and then you can whittle things down. It's not a game you got to win. It's a quarter you got to win. It's not a quarter you got to win. It's a drive you got to win. It's not a drive. Yeah. It's a play you got to win. It's not a play you got to win. It's a position. Are you angling at the right way to get around that guy in front of you to go from here to here? And then it's suddenly a game of 18 inches, because if you get there 18 inches and you're behind the guy, you've won. And suddenly those are attainable. 18 inches is a whole lot more attainable than beating number one Ohio State with a quote less talented team. And ta-da, he went out and won. That was they won that game.
Yeah.
And
that's
go ahead.
It's actually exactly what I need to hear this morning. Really. I mean, really. It's such a to be able, and I think some of us have personalities where we like to dream big and think big.
Oh, yeah.
But that can be so overwhelming sometimes that you don't actually achieve that goal because you don't have the people in your life to go, okay, what are the steps? What's the first step that you need to take in order to? And I'm a big dreamer. I love that kind of stuff, and I have achieved some good things in my life. But then there are other things that I go, boy, I'd really love to do that, and I like just thinking about it, and it doesn't get done, So because I think there's no way that could ever happen, and so I don't go after doing that. But I love this. If you think about just the next first step, or you think about the small step to take in that direction, it's incredible.
Well, and I found it very calming. So, this is going to sound really selfish, but it could be because everything's relative, and there are certainly people suffering far worse than I am, just as you alluded to. But I felt pretty overwhelmed this week. My family's in Western North Carolina. I was born in Mission Memorial Hospital in Asheville. Yeah. My aunt and my mother's sister, her family still lives there in a town called Spruce Pine that was literally washed away. Chimney Rock around the lake from Lake Lure was washed away. My colleagues were told in Lake Lure, get out. There'll be 110 foot of water, wall of water coming at you if this dam fails, and we predict it will fail. And so that was stressful to me, but that's nothing compared to what the people are going through. Or my good buddy Jeremy Bod, that had he's in St. Petersburg, but the pictures from his place are horrible, and he is doing okay. But that's when, I was starting to feel overwhelmed and helpless, because I would almost rather be the one that's suffering than the one concerned about the people suffering. Like, especially from a distance, you're helpless. What am I going to do in Minnesota? Like, I don't have 7-figure checks to write. I don't have a helicopter. Again, I'm not winning any bodybuilding contests. I'm not a lumberjack. I can't clear the road for people or whatever. And I heard those things about Pete Rose. I heard that little story from Nick Saban, and it was just do one thing at a time and get started. And suddenly it's get down to work. Suddenly it's, okay, who's the list of people I want to? I called Jeremy about it. He answers the phone. What's going on, Adam? What do you mean what's going on? You're in hell is what's going on. And he's not in hell. I had this picture, it sounds like hell, and he's got a horrible situation to go through right now. But just that morning, his work trailer had been smashed, because 3 days later, a tree that had been destabilized by the storm, after he thinks everything is done, falls on his work trailer, and his whole career is in that trailer. And he's chin up. He's like, well, and I was like, what? And I was like sort of happy, because I came up with something I could actually do that would be useful. I was like, well, why don't I get some people, and they can jump in with me and ride to Tinley, and we'll, ship your snakes to me. We'll call Robin. We'll get the snakes shipped up here, and I'll sell your snakes at Tinley. We'll man your table. And he's like, I'm not missing Tinley. I'll be there, man. I'm like, you will? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, man. So like, just doing the little things of reaching out, connecting to the people, of getting on with the work that I need to do. The property and colleagues that I work with in Lake Lure, same thing. I saw a video of the community. They're having these daily community meetings, because there's no other way to communicate at 3:00 every day. They're putting out coffee and food, and and like people are literally walking there because some of their driveways are washed out and all that. And I saw a video of it, and they're literally like happily going, well, we've drained the diesel from this generator on that part of the property that we're not using. We're bringing it over. We have this many days of supplies in the freezer. Dinner tonight will be this. They're feeding the whole community. Like my old crew in the old kitchen, they're feeding, they're no charge. Just hey, you don't get any choices, but it's free. And they're feeding everybody. And it was like, man, I am like, here I am in the comfort of my Minnesota fall, beautiful and 72. And, I'm putting myself through this mental hell, and the others are getting on with it. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just get started. What diesel we have, what generators we're going to run, what food we got, what water we got. And they're like calmer about it than I am. I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous.
When you get put into a situation like that, there's no other way to be. I don't think
you have to. That's right. That's right. Other than, just offing yourself, which is horrible to say, but people don't do that. You are resilient. You find a way.
Yeah. Trusting the process. That's so making the connection between the first part of the title and the second part of the title. Now I see it. Now I see how it goes together. Yeah. Go.
Oh, no. That's kind of, that was sort of it. Like, we could go through like a bunch of business circumstances and tie it to, how you're going to get the greatest combos ever of ball pythons. Well, you gotta follow the process. You start with just growing the damn thing up, and it's a 3-5 year thing. But all of those things this week sort of like shined into my life, and I am feeling better about things, even though it's feels like the world's crumbling around us out there. If we turn on, I've had to turn off the news. Like, and the other thing too, like, I mess with, like, I go through the thoughts, like, I wanted to call Jeremy and check on him. It's probably the last thing he needs is 200 people blowing up his phone when he's got, infested sheetrock that he's got to get rid of. So in my mind, I'm like, give him a couple days. Don't call it. You're just in the, and it's just sort of the same way with work. I sent an email like, hey guys, whatever you need from me, I can't imagine what I could do, but I'll do it. Don't worry about hours. Don't worry about billing. We'll sort out everything. You've been amazing to me for almost a decade. I can do whatever you want. And the GM's like, thank you, Adam. That was literally the answer. Like, so now it's like, all right, let me just get out of their hair because, they're rationing diesel for generators so that all the community can send text messages. Like Adam in Minnesota, there's nothing I can do right now. So like the thing I can do is to get out of the way and sit quietly on the sidelines, So
and I think probably for a personality like yours, it's probably a tough thing to do.
Yeah, and the guy that solves the problem, like I was, and especially in that in that context, like in life, I don't solve that many problems, but in that context, I was the leader that was my crew, those were my people, that was my community, and I did have to solve those problems. So,
it's interesting. Oh yeah. Before I have a few things I want to respond with, but I want to make sure that we get to our sponsors today.
You know what? I thank you, Joe, because I think there's a little and help me here. You're sort of the more educated in religion. I think there's an expression called mea culpa. I believe mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. I think I skipped the sponsors last week. I mean, their logos were there and all, but I mean, these are really good people. So look, Cold Blooded Cafe, they are I think the finest frozen rodent breeder. The best thing I could tell you about the differentiation of Cold Blooded Cafe is that they raise all of their own rats. There's some, actually, I thought they were hard hitting. I thought they were right up Chris's alley, man. There's some memes going around about these other rodent producers that get things brought in on cargo ships, like lab rats from other continents. And the port strike. They're like, oh, what's going to happen with these other rodent producers? Cold Blooded Cafe produces all of their rodents, all of their rats in-house. They know what they're being fed. You know where they're coming from. So anyhow, Cold Blooded Cafe, use promo code proper11. You're going to get 11% off of your order. And I can't wait to vend right across the aisle from them at Tinley here next weekend. It's coming up that fast. Also, Husbandry.pro, boom. All your data analytics on your animals tracking is going to, here's the thing, like all the information is good. Husbandry.pro saves you time. That's what I've learned. You got a steep learning curve to get all your information updated and to learn the process. But man, once you get it set up, talk about trusting the process and automation. The Husbandry.pro saves you time. Largely a one-man show, 200 snakes. I do have a helper that comes 2 days a week, but today's a day somebody gets COVID, they can't come in. I got to do the work myself. I'm thankful for Husbandry.pro for saving the time. Use the promo code properroyals 60. Get yourself 60 days off. You can go to properroyals.com and there's just a little banner. You click right on it. They'll know that you came from me. Go check it out. It's free. You don't have to give them credit card, nothing. You click it and you're off to the races. You're working already. Kreative Genetics, that's Keith out in Fresno, California. For once in the news, California is not the land of natural disasters at the moment. I don't mean to curse anything. I shouldn't speak that way. But Keith is out there in Fresno. He and I got some breeding plans, breeding project going this year, clown axanthic stuff. Those animals are hitting the market. And as a matter of fact, I got some triple het hypo clown axanthics in the marketplace right now. Those are the results of Keith and I breeding together. Keith works with dark genes like the stranger in single, double, triple combos like clown axanthic. I lost a little bit of steam there. Clown axanthic and DG. So check him out. Last but not least, in the audience is Charlie at Reagan, Renee, Royal Pythons. I'm looking on my phone, not because I'm rude and disengaged, but because this morning, if I wanted to, I could go right to Charlie's Morph Market page and say I was into a gene like Wookie. How fun does that sound, Joe? Wookie. There is a female double het DG clown Wookie for sale right now that you could buy. If you were into that caliber of animal, you could buy.
What is a Wookie? Can I ask what's a Wookie?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about Wookie in 1 second here. There's another one, multi-combos, Firefly, Red Stripe, Spot Nose, Yellow Belly, Het DG, and G-Stripe Clown. Charlie is doing great things, singles, doubles, triples, quads, visuals and hets all the way up and down that ladder. So check out Charlie at Reagan, Renee, Royal Pythons. He's also one of the few people I've ever trusted to host the show in my place. So I obviously think very highly of them. So Joe, Wookiee is a gene, and I was going to say it's a totally made up name, but it's clearly stolen from Star Wars. I'm proud of myself.
I was going to try and do the Wookiee sound.
Yeah. I'm very proud of myself. I didn't say Star Trek there instead of Star Wars, because I really don't know the difference, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's a darkening gene, and it's known for sort of brown, walnut, chestnut kind of colors. And then it has these very cool patterns on the side, pattern reducing, and it kind of rounds out the, we call the patterns on the side of a snake alien heads. They look like the shape of like a Roswell alien, the 2 dots, and then like a kind of a round thing around it. But Wookiee tightens those up, usually makes it down to just 1 dot, and reduces pattern a little bit. And they're really subtle, but if in the right combinations, it can actually bring out some purple hues. And I think people look to maximize like that. Whenever we find like a really unnatural color that just pops up, even just on a couple scales, we go, wait a minute, something somewhere is activating the snake's ability to make a purple hue. How do we take that from 2 scales to 100% of the snakes? So a lot of people think a gene like Wookiee or Stranger could lead to a whole lot of just new colors and like unlock a new color palette that isn't sort of naturally there typically. So that's Wookiee, and plus it's fun.
Get your Wookiee. That's
Wookiee.
Good.
Yeah, get your Wookiee right there from Charlie at Reagan. If I was going to buy a Wookiee this morning, that's what I would. He's who I would go see. So. We got the sponsors. You got to stay on me on that, Joe. Man, I get on these tears, and we just we forget about it. So, yeah. So, all right. So, other than just like a therapy woe is me session, will you ever like? What of this process driven thing? I think I hear it a lot in business, and I think that it's hard for people to adopt. But I think it's always like the way. I mean, it's. Recipes are process driven, checklists are process driven. Husbandry.pro is process driven. What do you see? You've been in HR and leadership for some time.
So the issue is for me is getting your teams to trust the process, and you've mentioned that. You know? So there's a shakiness to it. You're introducing a new way of doing something, let's say, and people go, this isn't the way that we always do it. I don't want to do it this way. And I think one of the worst things is that something goes wrong in the process that you're trying to, so that you find a flaw, and then you start to question, and the people around you start to question. Is this the right process we need to be taking in order to get to where we want to be? And I think that's a really, so that's something that I see happen. People start to think, oh yeah, maybe this isn't really the right way of doing something, when there's a small step that goes awry in some way. So people start to question that, and then you start to feel, if you're introducing the process, you start to feel like, yeah, maybe we should go another way. Then you start to rethink. What I see happening is people don't want to drive that process long enough. They get too scared by the things that go awry that they start to step away and go, maybe we should do something else. And then things just become a mess.
Yeah. You've put it exactly right. And that does happen. That is like that's like the story of management, right? Everybody thinks management is about money and power and leadership. It's what you just said. It's exactly that. One of the challenges I found is that we like it just in general, just a blanket statement. If in business and leadership, we like smart people. I think we could probably agree with that. Just a really basic, would you like smart people or dumb people? Let's take smart people. The problem is smart people have ideas and opinions. And we are not as smart as we think. We all think we're above average. This whole audience is above average. We are all everybody else might be an idiot, but we're all above average. And so I can remember vividly one of the constant themes was managers going, well, we should do this or that, or I don't want to do your checklist or your process or this situation because that's why you hired me, because I'm smart. I don't need this dummy proof checklist because I'm not a dummy. And inevitably you get exhausted working enough 12, 14, 16-hour shifts. You become a dummy because you can't function, and you need those. But what really, really drove the managers crazy is they would go, like you say, you find a fault because nothing's perfect. The idea being,
Right. Yeah.
get a process and constantly improve that process. So if you're constantly improving it, the flip side is there's something that needs to be improved. So it's not perfect. And people would constantly needle at, well, that didn't work, so your process sucks. I'm like,
right. Yeah.
No. You don't understand. The process is finding the part that sucks and fixing it. And one of my favorite statements, which drove people bonkers, was, I would rather be consistent, even if it's consistently bad, than inconsistent.
Oh,
And the
okay.
manager was like, what are you talking? Why would we do that? We've identified the problem. Why would we keep doing the problem? And I would say, because if it's consistently good or bad, you can identify what's successful and you can clearly identify what's not successful. If it's inconsistent, you don't know what the hell is causing the blips. And I have had that apply. Somebody I respected and I still respect very, very much. They think I'm absolutely insane because I won't supplement my rodents' diet with my own food scraps. And they're like, well, a good farmer would use every resource available to them. And I'm like, I'm not going to introduce variables because I want to know if something changes. I want to be able to identify what I've changed and how I can isolate it and get rid of what the problem is. If I'm giving 99 different types of stuff to these animals, which they might do just fine, I don't know. But if a problem did arise, I wouldn't be able to clearly identify what the problem is. And so I do apply that stuff to my snakes, my rodents, all of that.
So what's the threshold for changing the process then? I mean, if you are consistently bad at something.
Well, yeah, then you outline what it is.
Process, yeah.
Yeah. So even little things. My little pre-show checklist, about a month and a half ago, I added to my pre-show prep, be on the right internet, not channel, what
network. Yeah.
Because my phone and my laptop, they do great on any of our networks. But when it comes down to streaming in high def, it turns out I need one very specific network. I don't know if you remember, way back, long time ago, I might have a little technical glitch at the start of shows regularly. Well, I fixed that. It was an identifiable problem that was consistently happening. And then I was able to pinpoint it and get rid of it versus, I don't know, I sit in different places around the house. Oh, I never check the network. Oh, I connect it this way, I connect it that way. No, if you do the same thing and you do it consistently, then when there's a problem, you can isolate that variable.
Right. You see this, like, not to go back to sports, but you see this in sports teams.
Definitely.
They go, you know, there's a sports team that loses. Let's say it's a football team. They lose a game. And it's like, well, everything needs to change. The coach needs to
oh my gosh,
we need to get a new, and the owner sucks and everything.
Right,
it's the way things happen. Even at and also at the things that you notice, like at the, my stepson is in football for the first year, and the amount of people that are like, and the team's not that great. They haven't won a game yet.
Okay.
But the vitriol and the vehemence that you hear people yelling from the sidelines, like, and they're attacking the coaches, like, you need new coaches, and
right.
And it's like, all right, maybe we should calm down about this and kind of work the process a little bit and see if this group of young children get better at what they're doing.
Right. Well, and I think in sports, but also in teams. So I would experience similar things in the restaurant. Oh, you're the PGA guy that we're paying all this money and you can't even do this. And I'm like, you realize we're dealing with humans here, and we're dealing with people here.
Yes. Yeah.
And we're also dealing with, and it was a kind of a crazy thing because some of these rich playgrounds are square in the middle of some of the poorest parts of the country. So Appalachia, billionaire goes and buys a mountain and turns it into this enclave with helicopter pads. And there's literally maybe not literally, figuratively, there's nobody with professional experience or college degrees or careers because there's nowhere to work in a 40-mile radius. They've all gone to the cities and they've left. So there's a brain drain in this area. And they're, yeah, big surprise. The foie gras is a little off tonight. I got to teach the guys. Okay. They didn't walk in with culinary degrees from CIA around here. And that's I'm sure that's what it is with high school athletics teams. There's not a transfer portal that you could go buy your good running back for, your local high school team,
So let me ask you this. Do you, once there is success in the process, you stick with that process, and do you get any from those people that said this doesn't work, this is bad? Do you ever get any kind of, hey, actually this is working, this is good, does that sentiment ever change?
Yeah.
Does it come with the success?
That's the fulfillment. Yeah. And the click where it clicks for. My goal was always, I never wanted to hire a manager that I didn't think could be a future director or a future general manager. So I always wanted not only smart people that I thought were, my goal was never to keep people under me. I wanted a tree and a network of great people around me. So the thing was seeing it click, because how else do you manage a team of 100 or 120 people? Like you're gonna go insane. Like, of course, each one and you relate to and interact with each one, but you got to have standards and policies and traceable things. Chefs were the worst. Well, you want to make a chef mad? Tell them, start any sentence, hey, in my 10 years with Ruby Tuesday, and then tell them how to do their job. Let me tell you, that will piss off a chef. But I could tell you, at least in the 90s, they've sort of died a slow, painful death, but because of the industry change. But in every kitchen in Ruby Tuesday, and 900 stores in the United States at their height, right above the kitchen doors was a saying that said, there is no quality without consistency. Every store, man, at 10 years, I looked at that statement every day. Like Notre Dame players play like a champion every day.
Yeah.
There is no quality without consistency. And you almost have no choice but to start thinking about that when you see that sign, hundreds of times in a shift, and then repeat that for 10 years. It gets kind of drilled into your head. And to this day, I know where the 2 ounces of honey mustard are going to go at 3:00 on the plate under the 5 chicken tenders and 1 piece of kale. Boom. There's your chicken tender appetizer right there.
Yeah. I want to just go back for a second to something that you said about feeling helpless in certain situations, and whether it's situations where you feel overwhelmed because there's so many things that you need to do, and that's kind of the flip side of what Saban talked about, which was that we have a goal of winning here. How are we going to get to that goal of winning or defeating a better team than us? So just think in inches. But the flip side of that is also like, if there's a negative thing that's going on in your life, like a flood, or you have something in your life where you just feel overwhelmed, there's so many things happening, just parse it out into smaller bits and taking that on, that makes you feel less helpless. And then I have this, I have a friend. So I spent 10 days in the hospital this past.
That's right. Yeah.
March.
Yeah. You had a little fight with the appendix.
And it was longer. I think it's in reflecting back. And actually I have a friend who's in the hospital right now, who's dealing with something, and he's like, I thought I was going to get out today, but they want to keep me in for observation, and I just don't want to go home and then have to come back. And that's what they kept telling me when I was in the hospital for 10 days. And you know, and it made me scared to go home. It made me feel like I wouldn't be able to go home and take care of myself at home in the state that I was in. And it made me feel dependent upon the hospital and the people at the hospital and what they were doing to me at the hospital. And I look back and I go, I think I would have recovered better at home if they'd made me feel like I wasn't as helpless as I could have been, or
Oh,
as helpless. And if they made me feel like you can do this at home,
mm,
instead of trying to keep me there, I think I would have recovered quicker, you know?
huh.
There's something about this conversation that reminded me of this, because when I did get home, it felt like there was such a daunting thing that I needed to do. I had something coming out of my side that was draining liquid.
Right.
There was IVs that I had to put into my arm, and I felt like there's no way that I could do it. Then I got home and I had to do it. There's something about being put into a situation and saying I can do this, that that propels you to actually do it,
Yeah.
instead of being reliant on or relying on something or somebody or a business or a job that keeps telling you you're not going to make it without us.
Yeah. Yeah. Be it uh, I mean, in your case, like literally not, I mean, held captive. That's a little dramatic, but like literally like encased in this pitiful state that allows you to go, oh, I'm feeling pitiful. Whereas
Yeah,
once you're put out there, you got to find out and figure out. And people do. And I think that comes back to that resiliency. We do find that, hey, okay, I'm going to put one foot in front of the other, and I'm going to stand
yeah,
up, and I'm not going to tear these IVs out today, and that sort of
right.
thing. I think we hear that and I don't mean to be insensitive if I am, but I think we hear that in recovery programs. We hear one step at a time, or one meeting at a time, or I didn't understand, and I probably don't fully understand, but I can get my head around it now. I had some friends go through various types of recovery, and they would go to meetings 3-4 times a day, and I'm like, holy
Mhm.
cow. And at the time I figured they were like informational meetings. They're not. They're just the support so that you don't get stuck in this
Right,
pitiful, you don't have to think about never having a drink for the whole rest of your life. You just got to think about not having a drink right now. The next
right.
18 minutes I'm not going to drink.
So
Okay.
I said, and that's such there's a psychology to trusting the process. It's not just doing the process.
Yeah.
There's like a belief that you need to have that you can do it,
Right.
that you can put one step in front of the other. And I think that's the biggest part of it, of actually is this commitment and the belief that you can do it, that this process will work, and that you can change the process if it goes wrong.
Yeah.
But the psychology of it is the largest part of it actually being successful.
Yeah. And I still it still blows my mind. And I believed every word he said when he was saying it. Can you imagine Nick Saban going, I don't tell people to worry about the win or the loss or the outcome?
True. Yeah. It's
What?
wild.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. These guys got
Yeah.
statues of him in front of stadiums, you know? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
So when I was in the hospital, I was thinking, I just want to go back to normal. I want to be what I was before. I just want to be healthy again. And so it was this big thing that I want to get all the stuff off me, and I just want to be the way that I was, and I want to be healthy again. And then when I got home, it was like, okay, I want to I'm just gonna lie down here. Oh, I'm gonna move over here, and then I'm gonna drain this bag. Oh, I have to do the steps, these micro steps to get the IV into my arm. And that to me is why I started to recover better than I would have done in the hospital, because I knew the steps. I knew that I learned that I could do the steps.
Yeah.
And this big thing of just being healthy turned into, I can do this, I can do that. And I felt like proud of myself to be able to take care of my own self. I felt proud, like I was so happy when I just got home that first day of being home, and I was still sick, but it was just so great to feel like I can do this step, I can take this step, I can do this next step. And that's what propelled me to health and healing, I think. Not lying around and going, I just wish I could be healthy, and people coming in and trying to make me healthy.
Yeah. I think getting down to business, and I don't even mean like
Yes.
making money.
Exactly.
I mean, just so one of the darkest times in my life that I learned a hard lesson, and this is how life goes, and nothing is guaranteed, and this and that, and blah blah blah. But I never experienced it. I had performance reviews to back this statement up, but I was always a high performing leader. I worked hard, blah blah, all the stuff I've all talked about. And I had literally just gotten a raise, just gotten a great performance review, and I got called one morning in October. It may be right about now. What year is 2024? So 8 years ago, I get called into the GM's office. I'm doing inventory. We're wrapping up the season. Just got paid, blah, blah, blah. Hey, what's going on? Why is the CFO of the company from Naples, Florida on his jet here? Oh, Adam, you're done. We've had enough. We appreciate you. You've done enough here. Fired on the spot, man. And it took me a long time to use the word fired. Laid off, blah, blah, blah. Fired on the spot. And I remember like rationally saying to myself, and Kelly was a massive help. Hey, you got today and tomorrow to wallow in your frustration and being pissed off. Otherwise, that next day, it doesn't even matter if you want the job or not. Start the process. Go apply. I would force myself to apply for 4 director positions every day, even positions I didn't want, just so that I could keep up my chops of finding a job, of staying relevant, of the phone starting to light up, not my own phones, but other people going, who's this guy? Why is he available? This and that. It's a fairly small world actually that I work in of private club management. And in my mind, I had this big it's going to be months. I got to ration our money. Our savings is going to dwindle. It was like 4 days. I was, I set a process. I set a standard. I'm going to get up. I actually made myself still iron my clothes and get dressed and shave. Like I don't even do that now, but I would make myself do that because mentally I had to be in the right space to apply for these positions and figure out how the rest of my life was going to go. At that time, that was the magnitude in my mind of what I was thinking. And now I realize that, business is business. And at the end of the day, I was a line on a budget item, or a budget item on a line item and blah, blah, blah. So, but again, those traumatic situations kind of lead us to, again, the suffering, the challenge, the anticipation, the looking forward, the process, all of it all bundled up there. So
I love where this conversation ended up, because we have talked so much in the past about creating a vision and believing in your vision and having that vision and having that goal, but getting down to business is just such a great place to end the conversation.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I got to go scrub a whole bunch of poop today, because that's the process of I can't create beautiful animals unless I'm keeping their lives impeccably clean. And that's when I'm off. That'll be my day today. It's not
one step in front of the other, 1 foot in front of the other, everybody. That's the way to go. That's great. All right. So we're at the end of our time here. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And I love these conversations on Thursday mornings.
It's gone well. Thanks, audience, for the support. We had a good crew today. There's still almost 20 of you all hanging out. So thanks very much. If we didn't have the audience, it'd just be me and Joe just running our yappers. So thank you. If you didn't catch it live and you're catching on the replay, we appreciate it. We do it every Thursday morning, same place, same time. And we'll see you then. Joe, good luck on, I hope it's just the alternator. I hope you're cruising the byways of Central Florida, greater Tampa Bay area before you know it. Good luck, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Stay safe. Stay cool.